The great American city is dying as central business districts hollow out and empty skyscrapers dot once glamorous skylines like LA. This is putting potentially hundreds of banks at risk from going under with bad real estate loans. The latest comes from Bloomberg, who reports that office buildings have lost at least $560 billion in value. Other estimates like Starwood Capital put it closer to $1.2 trillion. The worst hit are San Francisco, followed by Manhattan, Boston, LA, and even Washington. To give a sense, one marquee office building in Manhattan just got a 97% haircut from $332 million to just $8. In other words, the expensive blue cities are killing their city centers. Given this, the industry is now epically overbuilt. According to Morgan Stanley, there's 18 years of supply sitting empty for Class A offices and 23 years for lower grade Class B. This matters because commercial loans make up roughly a third of assets at regional banks. The big banks tend to favor trillion-dollar companies, hedge funds, or they just ship the money overseas. That means if those loans go bad, they could wipe out those smaller banks. The bank's assets will be worth less than their deposits, at which point they go under, get bought by a big bank who presumably redeploys the capital to distressed bond funds in Brazil. So how did it get so bad? Partly it was post-COVID work from home combined with epic mismanagement by left-wing politicians who've turned America's greatest cities into urban hellscapes of crime, grime, and homelessness. Somewhere between the 5th and 12th break-in, never mind the riots, businesses pack up and leave, which pulls down the tax base, which automatically defunds the police. Heck, it defunds the street cleaners going by San Francisco. This so-called urban doom loop is hard for cities to pull out of without offending their pro-crime and pro-homeless activist base. And so they grab a violin or they grab a microphone at the press conference and watch it fall like once great cities like Detroit and Baltimore. But even bigger has been the Federal Reserve, because real estate is one of the most capital-intensive industries on Earth, and the Fed controls the cost of money via interest rates. Cut rates and money's cheap, hike rates and it's dear. At the moment, of course, we're on the tail end of the fastest rate hike since the 1970s that drives up landlords' costs, even as the doom loop drags down rents. Put them together and you've got busted developers, meaning you've got busted banks. Meanwhile, Moody's recently warned that banks are holding only half the reserves they need for bad loans in commercial real estate. Keep in mind that's just the loans that are reported, so banks will offer new money even if they know the lender cannot repay, just to maintain the illusion that the loan is still performing, called extend and pretend. This is fraud, of course, but then our entire financial system is fraud, starting with fractional reserve banking. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. With Jerome Powell now promising rate cuts, a money printer lifeline is coming into view for developers and their overextended bankers. Of course, this will not fix the problem. You can't print away an abandoned downtown. That fresh money will simply convert into inflation as new loans effectively print money. Meaning at best, the commercial real estate crisis will convert from a developer's problem into your problem, as your dollars effectively bail out developers and their casino bankers. The immortal words of George Carlin, it's a big club and you ain't in it. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to News Variable. You're officially one step closer to shedding the matrix.